Hi everyone. So to be very honest, I don't even know where to begin. All of this is so bizarre. I don't even know how I'm going to put it all out there, but I know that I need to. So I'm going to try my best. Me, 30 female, and my husband Michael, 30 male, we've known each other since we were kids. We went to the same high school and we got very close as friends. And then he asked me out in our senior year. And that was it for both of us. And since then, we've been together and it's been a wonderful journey. We've been married for the past 6 years, and recently we welcomed our first child, our daughter, 3 years ago. And just a few months back, we had our son and completed our family. And I feel truly blessed. For the two of us, life has been great. Now, coming to my best friend, she's been in my life even longer than Michael. We've been best friends since middle school, and Angie and I have been inseparable. I thought that we didn't have any secrets because obviously we've known each other for so long, and she's even the godmother to my daughter, but I was really wrong on that front. Because apparently there's a lot about her that I had no idea about. Our relationship has been pretty normal for many years, but for the last couple of months, she's been acting pretty weird. She decided to get married out of the blue, and just for the record, she and her fiance, or soon-to-be ex, or whatever you want to call it, haven't even been together for that long. Let's call him Jim. So Jim and Angie have been seeing each other for the past year, and they get along well enough. She seems to really like him, and he's already said that he loves her. But before they got engaged, she had been telling me about how she's not really sure about him, and she had been very upset because they had had some fight. I don't remember about what, and she had started to believe that maybe they were not as compatible as they should be. And she told me that she was sick of ending up with guys she couldn't marry, and she really wanted to settle down in life now. I remember that conversation quite vividly, but then just a few weeks later, she was calling me to tell me that Jim had proposed and she had said yes. She was really excited about it, so I decided not to bring anything up about the conversation that we had previously. But since then, I found it very strange that one day she was complaining about how incompatible she was with Jim, and just a couple of weeks later, he had proposed and she had said yes to getting married. And to be very honest, I found it very surprising that Jim had proposed because, like I said, they hadn't really been together for that long. It's just been a year, but then again, when you know, you know. So I decided not to comment on it, and I was just happy for her. And let me just mention, we had that conversation about incompatibility maybe 4 to 5 weeks before she got engaged. And in the middle of it, I had told her that I was pregnant. I was 5 months along at the time, and that's when we decided to tell people apart from our immediate families. Back then, obviously, I didn't think that my pregnancy announcement had anything to do with her engagement. But now, I'm not so sure anymore. So anyway, she's been planning her wedding for the past 8 months, ever since she got engaged. And I was asked to be the maid of honor pretty much immediately afterwards. Nothing seemed that weird in the beginning, apart from whatever I mentioned. But as she got closer to the day of the wedding, she started behaving more strangely. And I literally had to ask her several times if she was sure about this, because if she wasn't, we could still cancel all of it. However, she told me that she really wanted to get married to Jim, and that at her age, she didn't want to back out of this just because of cold feet, and said that she would be fine after she got married. I had my doubts, but it was her decision to make, so I didn't say much. Then, a couple of days ago, she got married, and until the ceremony, everything was fine. But after that, during the reception, she got super drunk. And I'm talking words getting slurred, kind of drunk. So it was pretty strange, and I even tried to get her back in control, but she just wouldn't listen to anyone. So that's how things turned out to be completely disastrous in the end, because at one point in time, she took it upon herself to make a speech about how happy she was that she was finally married now. The beginning of the speech was nice enough, and even though she was super drunk, she was saying nice things about her husband, and people were laughing, a little awkwardly, but nobody seemed to mind it too much. However, she just went on, and things took a turn for the worse when she started talking about how I, her best friend, played a major role in her decision to get married. And she started talking about my marriage and how I've been with Michael for so many years and how she's always been a little jealous of me. She spoke about our kids and her happy marriage and said that that's exactly what she wanted. And then all of a sudden she started talking about how she fully believed that the life that I'm living right now was the life meant for her. And I never really deserved it. Nor did I deserve Michael, because apparently she's been head over heels for him ever since high school. And she kept waiting to pluck up the courage to ask him out at some point, but never could. But by the end of senior year, he had asked me out and we were together, and she was left heartbroken. And since then, she has tried her best to be happy for me. But ultimately, she knows for a fact that she would have been a better wife and a better mother to our kids if Michael had just chosen her instead of me. And throughout all of this, she was so drunk, and I was trying to stop her from saying things that she would regret. But after she started saying these things, I was so shocked that I couldn't even tell her to shut up or anything, because I was so stunned. I was literally speechless. And I think so was everybody else, because she was pretty loud. She didn't even need a mic. She just kept going on, and she was laughing as if it was some huge joke. But nobody else found it funny. Everyone was shocked, and after a point in time, I realized that I'd heard enough. I was really hurt and disappointed, so I decided to leave the wedding. I didn't even care about anything else. I just walked out with my husband. Thankfully, my parents had only been there for the ceremony, but had gone home with our kids during the reception, so my daughter didn't see any of that, because I don't think I would have ever been able to explain it. Since Angie has been like a sister to me, and like I said in the beginning, she's even my daughter's godmother, and nobody could have seen anything like this coming. Anyway, after that day, I didn't speak to her for 2 days, and I was really upset, because this was a lifetime of friendship just gone with one speech, since I'm pretty sure I can't be friends with her anymore. And then last evening, she called me up, and I thought that she was going to try and apologize. But I was not ready to speak to her, so I decided not to answer the phone call. But she just kept calling, so at one point in time, I decided to just hear her out. And I was shocked to learn that she was not calling to apologize. But in fact, she was calling to yell at me, because for some reason she had decided that it was my fault that she got that drunk and started saying all those things. As soon as I picked up the phone, she started yelling at me, saying that because I did not try to stop her while she was drinking, she lost control of herself and got too carried away, and said many things that she shouldn't have. And as her maid of honor, it should have been my duty to make sure that she was under control while drinking, which I had failed to ensure. And now, for that reason, just as soon as she has gotten married, she's going to have to get her marriage annulled, because Jim has already made that decision. She was quite hysterical, and she didn't even let me talk, even though I tried to interrupt and tell her how ridiculous she was behaving several times. But she just kept going on. And in the end, she told me that I was the most selfish person that she had ever known, because first, I had taken away the life that she wanted. And now, when she was finally happy with Jim, I had somehow ruined that for her as well by not being there for her. She said that she was just making a joke. She didn't really mean any of that, even though it didn't seem that way, quite frankly, and said that it wasn't her fault, that nobody else got her drunk humor, and I should have stopped it somehow. And then she hung up, and when I tried to call her back, only to argue with her, I realized that I had been blocked. Now, I know that it doesn't make sense for me to feel bad about any of this because it's not my fault. I couldn't have known, and I did try to stop her from drinking that much, but at the end of the day, I can't help but wonder if it's actually my fault. I'm trying to look back on everything and think whether I had actually been so self-absorbed that I couldn't see that Angie also liked Michael at any point in time. And I don't know, maybe I didn't try hard enough to stop her from drinking that much because I didn't really think that something like this would end up happening. There's no point to it now, obviously, but I just feel bad about everything that's happened. And I just feel so sorry for her and for myself because we've lost the friendship of a lifetime. I know for a fact that things will never be the same again, and it just really hurts. So I really need some peace of mind at least, which is why I need to ask aita for not being able to stop my best friend from getting too drunk at her wedding and ruining her marriage. Edit. So, Angie and I were part of a friend group in high school, and Michael was also part of that circle. That's how all of us were friends. But Michael and I were significantly closer, although I have to say that Angie and Michael were also good friends. It's just that I never really thought that she would have a thing for him because she kept her feelings hidden so well that I don't think I would have been able to guess. Or maybe, like I said in my original post, I was just too self-absorbed to notice anything. And that's what I really feel guilty about, because if I had, maybe things would have been different for both of us. I don't regret the fact that I dated Michael and then I got married to him. We have a wonderful life together. We have 2 beautiful children, and I know for a fact that this is how things were meant to be. But I just feel like if I had known Angie's real feelings, I may have been able to address things with her, and the situation wouldn't have turned out so ugly. I don't know. I just feel like if I had known earlier, I would have prevented all of this from happening. And I know it's an irrational, unreasonable thought to have, but I've loved her like a sister. And it's just difficult to think that we're never going to be the same again. Michael has been there for me to the best of his abilities, and I'm really so grateful to have him by my side, but everything just stings right now. Update 1. Hey everybody, so first of all, I would just like to take a moment to thank everybody who commented on my post. Really, thank you so much, because things have been very difficult for me for the past couple of days. It's been hard for me to accept the fact that she and I will never have the same kind of relationship again, especially because we've been friends since we were literally children. But after going through the comments, after speaking to my husband at length about all of this, and even talking to my parents about it, I know that this is my fault. I don't have to blame myself for any of this. And I think it's better for me to accept that even if I had known, I wouldn't have been able to prevent this from happening. Besides, there's no point in thinking about hypothetical situations. The truth is that I didn't know. The reality of this situation is that I had no idea, and that's why all of this happened, and really, that's just it. So all the comments have been pretty helpful and supportive, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, everyone. Anyway, she's blocked me everywhere, and I'm trying not to let it hurt too much, but well, it still does. I don't even know what's going on with her because she's not been speaking to anybody else. Obviously, we have a lot of common friends, and I've asked all of them about what exactly is going on with her and Jim. Because last I heard from her, they were on their way to get an annulment. But since then, she's not really spoken to anyone, so nobody really knows. However, I think it's safe to assume that she and Jim will not end up together anymore, because I don't think anybody would be able to move on from whatever she said at the reception. I know that I wouldn't, and I can't. Whatever happens, I just hope that she finds happiness, because I think even though I'm hurting right now, she's probably been hurting for a very long time. Update 2. Hey, so it's been about 2 weeks since my last update and quite a while since the wedding. My life has pretty much gone back to normal because honestly, even though everything was pretty unsettling, it wasn't like I was going to sit around and cry about it, since that was obviously not going to fix anything at all. I'm trying to move on with my life and accept things as they are. How supportive Michael, my parents, and my friends have been. It's been pretty easy. I haven't heard from her or about her for quite some time, but today, earlier in the day, I received a phone call from Angie's mom. That was quite surprising, but I decided to answer the phone because given how close we've been over the years, her parents have also treated me like their own daughter, just like my parents have treated her like my own sister. And I didn't want to disrespect them, so I picked up the phone, and I'm very glad that I did, because as soon as I answered, Angie's mom started telling me how sorry she was about everything that happened and that she had been waiting to make this phone call for quite some time. But she had been caught up with all the drama that has been going on with her daughter and Jim. She didn't elaborate on that because obviously that's Angie's business now. And I didn't ask either because I didn't want to pry. But I'm getting that they're not going to try to make the marriage work. Anyway, on the phone, she told me that she was very sorry about everything and that she knew Angie really missed me and she's been miserable since that day. And even though she won't admit it, she knows that she's the one who screwed things up. So in all probability, she definitely wants to apologize, but can't bring herself to do it. So basically, Angie's mom was calling me to apologize on everybody's behalf, not just herself, but also Angie and her father. Her dad decided not to be on the phone call because apparently he was too embarrassed to even talk to me after everything has happened. But he did say that he would like for me to forgive and forget. And even if I don't speak to Angie ever again, he would like me not to hold a grudge against her. And I told them that that was a given because in spite of everything that's happened, it's not like she was in control of her own feelings. I definitely think that she should have dealt with the situation better. I do think that this is probably hard on her as well, and there are no winners here. But regardless of how upset I am with her, I don't think I would hold a grudge against her since it just wouldn't make sense. And I reassured them that I'm not upset with them at all. Because to be fair to them, it's not really their fault. They had no idea about what was going to happen. They didn't even know that she had been in love with Michael or anything of the sort. Anyway, we chatted a little, and Angie's mom told me that she's been miserable and she's refusing to talk to anyone and hardly even comes out of her room anymore, except at meal times. She told me that she's been worried, and she's basically just said that if this continues, they might take her to a mental health professional because obviously right now she needs it more than ever. I could tell that she was very distressed, so I told her that everything was going to be fine and that with time Angie would get better. After all of that, she tried to ask me if I would be open to the thought of visiting sometime in the future. If Angie continued behaving this way, because maybe I would be able to get her to open up if I decided to show her that I had forgiven her. And to be honest, it was quite dicey for me because obviously I don't want her to get better, but I don't think that I'm the right person for that at the moment. So I told her mom that I could understand why she would think of me because obviously for so many years, I've been the only person that they've always thought of whenever Angie has been upset. Anytime anything has happened that has upset Angie, and she would speak to her parents about it. They would call me, and if it was something that I could share with them, I would tell them, and they would deal with the situation accordingly. But if it was a secret, I would just tell them to leave it to me. And even with my parents, it was the same. That's how close we had been. So naturally, this was her first instinct in this situation as well. But unfortunately, I don't think I would be able to do anything here apart from making the situation worse. So this time I had to let her down gently. And luckily, Angie's mom was very understanding about it. Obviously, I felt bad because I knew that she was very distraught and upset about all of this, like any mother would be. And she was probably grasping at straws to make the situation better somehow. But I think this is something that Angie has to deal with on her own. I definitely cannot help her out here. And if she doesn't open up to her parents or literally anybody else, they won't be able to help her out either. So far, it's just been us against the world, but now I think it's not the same anymore. So we're going to have to fight our battles on our own, and we can't count on each other to have each other's back. She let me down, and I'm pretty sure that she feels the same way about me. And as hard as it is, that's the way things have turned out to be, and we have to accept it. I have my husband and my parents to have my back, though. So I just hope that she opens up and trusts the ones who love her so that she doesn't end up alone. Update 3. Hey, so it's been a couple of weeks since my last update. 6 weeks to be precise, and things have been pretty normal for me. Obviously, sometimes I do end up missing Angie because now we don't talk anymore. But other than that, it's been all right. I haven't heard from her for a very long time, but I don't know that she and Jim ended up getting an annulment. I heard from a couple of friends that she moved away, not just from the city, but to another country altogether. Apparently, a couple of days back, she finally resumed posting on social media. That was something she had put on hold for quite some time after the wedding. But she finally posted, and she's in New Zealand now. She started a new job, so she posted about that as well. And since I'm still blocked, I heard about it from a couple of other friends. I hope she's happy. To be honest, I think after everything that's happened, all of us deserve to be happy. So it's a good thing that she's choosing to move on with her life. My daughter has asked about her Aunt Angie quite a few times in the past couple of weeks, but I've always been able to delay answering the question with the truth. I know that someday I might have to tell her, but I'm hoping that she might just forget, so I don't have to bring up such bitter situations, because honestly, this is not something that she needs to know. She can keep remembering and thinking of her Aunt Angie fondly. I don't want to ruin that. As for Angie's parents, they have still continued to be nice to me since they wished me on my birthday last week quite warmly. I'm honestly not sure if Angie knows about this. I don't know if she would be okay with it, but as long as they're being cordial with me, I don't see any reason not to reciprocate. Anyway, that's how life has been for the past couple of weeks. It's been weird, but uncomplicated. And I'm thankful for that, at least. I hope that with time, I feel less upset about the situation, because even now, I do find myself missing her a lot at certain points in time. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I don't know if I'll get over that anytime soon, but I know that I have to. Update 4. Hey guys, so it's been close to a year since the wedding debacle, and since then, Angie and I have not been on speaking terms. But I have pretty much accepted it by now. I'm doing well, and so is Michael. And our kids are also fine, so that's all that I could ask for, to be honest. I hadn't even thought about all of that in quite some time, but recently I ran into Jim at a restaurant. This happened last evening. I went out with my family for my mom's birthday, and that's where we ran into him. He is the one who spotted us first and approached our table, and he came over to say hi, which I thought was a bit weird, but we were still nice to him. He was out with his friends, and all he said to me was that he would like to talk to me before either of us left, which was quite intriguing because I had no idea what he would possibly have to say to me. Since him and Angie were together, we did end up becoming friends, but we were never really that close. Since, like I said, he and Angie had been together for just a year before they got engaged. Anyway, as it turned out, he was about to leave before I did, so I decided to talk to him in private outside the restaurant, in the parking lot. And surprisingly, he started off by apologizing for everything that had happened at the reception, even though it was not really his fault. But he told me that something had been weighing on him for the longest time, and he just needed somebody to share it with who would actually understand. He basically told me something that confirmed everything I thought, that it was my second pregnancy with my son that set off this chain of events, because right after I told Angie, she started telling Jim that she wanted to get engaged and married as soon as possible. Back then, even he was quite confused because, like I said, even for him, 1 year was too short of a span of time to really get to know somebody, and they hadn't even been living together at that time, so he was kind of skeptical about it. But she seemed so sure of it that he decided to go ahead and propose, just like me. He didn't put two and two together until after the whole fiasco at the wedding, and that's when he realized that it must have been the announcement of my second pregnancy that made Angie so anxious to get married, and maybe just prove to herself that she was capable of building a life for herself just like I had, be it with Michael or without. After telling me this, he said that he had spoken about this only with his parents and a couple of close friends, but nobody else knew. And when he saw me today, he felt like he had to tell me because he thought that I would understand, and I did. I really understood why he would want to share this with me, and I told him that at the end of the day, this was not our fault. We couldn't have prevented any of this from happening. And the only thing that we can do is move on with our lives now. It was kind of sad, but I guess this gave us both some weird sense of closure that we really never got from Angie herself. Because apparently, even though she yelled at me, she never really tried to fight against Jim and his decision to get an annulment, even though he had been expecting her to try and stop it somehow. But according to what he told me, she never even bothered and just accepted it. So I don't know. I think even though all of us think that we were the ones most embarrassed and humiliated because of all this, I think she's the one who suffered the most and ruined everything for herself. But whatever. It's all done now. And I think we are in a place where everyone has moved on. She is in New Zealand and she is living her life. And from what I learned from Jim, he's also trying to go out with other people. And as for me, I'm happy with the life and the family I have. I just hope that everybody else finds their kind of happiness for themselves as well. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.